Did you hear what happened to Jake?
Yeah, it was terrible. I mean, listen, bad things happen to good people.
Yeah, but like, he sort of deserved it. You know, drug dealing and all. It's good money, but it never ends well. You should have stopped after the first warning.
I don't know, man. This country's war on drugs is just ridiculous.
What are you talking about? Drugs are horrendous for your health, and they lead to so much crime. Government needs to eradicate all of them so that my wife and kids feel safe at night.
Dude, I don't think you understand that the country actually suffers more now than if controlled substances were legalized, or at least decriminalized.
You're insane. You realize that you would make it so much easier for kids to get their hands on drugs?
On the contrary, Ryan, if drugs were legal, the government would not only be able to regulate them and create safer environments for treatment and prevention, but they could also put an age restriction, like the cigarettes you buy in stores and the alcohol you see kill tens of thousands each year.
But that's completely different. I mean, come on. Alcohol and cigarettes don't give you AIDS or destroy your life.
That may be the case, but they certainly lead to lung and liver cancer, as well as strokes and hypertension.
Yeah, but you don't see kids buying alcohol on the streets as much as like weed and heroin.
That's because of our government's policies in legalizing alcohol. They were able to depose of gangsters like Al Capone and Johnny Torrio. You would never see another powerful drug lord like Pablo Escobar. Not only can the government reap massive profits from taxation of currently prohibited substances and reinvest it into rebuilding our infrastructure to create jobs, but they can also use it to educate our youth on the dangers of drugs and help prevent addiction and abuse.
If it's so great, then why hasn't the U.S. implemented your policies?
Because in 1971, Richard Nixon declared the misguided war on drugs and established increased enforcement and punishment for even nonviolent offenders.
What's this?
It's the Oval Office in 1973. Look over there. It's Nixon creating the Drug Enforcement Agency.
How did we get here?
Don't worry about it. Nixon merely started the prevailing trend for the next 45 years. Amongst other issues, drug-friendly hippie culture and the decay of the inner city led to soaring drug rates. Citizens, horrified by the rise of heroin use and a culture that encouraged experimentation with controlled substances, put pressure on the government for the entirety of the latter half of the 20th century. Policies were continually made that increased jail sentences and fines on those holding small amounts of narcotics. The U.S. jail system swelled. Approximately 6,900,000 people were jailed in 2013. Of those, 48% were in prison for drug-related offenses. This increase has helped to contribute to the United States becoming the country with the highest per capita prison rate.
So, prison isn't all that bad. They get fed and clothed. Besides, they were all amoral drug dealers.
Well, it's a very complicated issue. While many people in jail deserve to be there, it has certainly ripped many people from their families and caused many of them to lose years of their lives. Surely, there are serious consequences for those who committed this crime out of necessity or even by mistake. Is it humane to keep them in prison? Especially considering that some of the people in jail hurt no one but themselves and were not a danger to society.
Oh, I never thought about it like that.
Even more than that, you're paying the price.
Really? How so?
The average cost to maintain a prisoner annually in the United States is $31,000. That means taxpayers like you have to pay for people who don't necessarily belong to be there. About 50,000 people are currently incarcerated exclusively for possession of small amounts of narcotics. That is a huge burden on U.S. taxpayers. Annually, that would work out to costing U.S. taxpayers over $1.5 billion a year.
It's over 900,000! That is an absurd amount. Think of all the helpful policies and programs that the government could create with those resources. There are underfunded schools, and the streets need to be fixed.
Not to mention that those research could be diverted to treatment and prevention. Perhaps we could eliminate it from becoming a problem in the first place.
But how could that even work?
It already has.
Ugh, this sloppy transition again?
As you can see, we're now in Ireland, one of the most recent countries to decriminalize small quantities of illicit drugs.
What did they do?
They no longer punish small quantities of narcotics with jail time and even offer clinical rooms overseen by doctors for addicts to use in. In this way, addicts are given a clean and contaminant-free environment, which should help to stem deaths that occur as a result of drug use. Maybe it's not ideal compared to complete elimination of all drug use, but it is tackling the issue of rising levels of drug-related infections. Their formal policy, which was similar to the United States', was not doing so.
What have been the effects? Has it worked?
It's a new program, so we don't yet know. We just haven't collected enough data. But if indications from other countries, including some parts of the US, are to be believed, this should have a positive impact. When Washington, D.C., a hotbed for decriminalization and legalization, implemented a needle exchange program in 2008, cases of HIV from injection drug use fell by around 30%. And in 2013, there were only 19 confirmed cases in the entirety of the city.
Wow, that does sound like a positive impact. Should I really believe that decriminalizing substances is healthier for the individual?
That is what the data suggests. Portugal similarly saw a drop in HIV rates and a 25% decrease in drug-related deaths since decriminalizing 10-day supplies of illegal drugs in 2001. They've actually even seen a decline in drug rates since then. But maybe that doesn't go far enough. There are still many negative consequences of drugs on society, even with introducing decriminalization.
Go even further. Are you really so sure? This all seems pretty radical, and no place on earth is willing to go that far. You had plenty of examples before, but this, I don't know, this just seems kind of crazy.
While I acknowledge that this seems wrong, it is important to look objectively at unbiased data. Actually, there have been some places that have legalized some narcotics, including right here in the United States.
Where?
Colorado, and let's see what effects that had.
Okay, I get we're in Colorado, but I'm still confused. Why are we inside a bank? What does this have to do with the war on drugs?
Foreshadowing. Since the legalization of marijuana in Colorado, crime rates as a whole have decreased. In Colorado's largest city, Denver, violent crimes have decreased by 2.2%. Property crimes have decreased by 8.9%, and traffic fatalities have also decreased. But this isn't the only benefit the people of Colorado have reaped.
What do you mean? What more do you want than reduced crime and reduced levels of consumption in regards to drug policy?
How does money sound? Colorado, with a 28% sales tax, has raised $53 million in just 1 year in tax revenue. Or what about jobs? 16,000 people are licensed to work in Colorado's marijuana industry, and their unemployment rate is at a 6-year low.
Wow. Does sound like legal weed is good for the government's wallet.
It's good for the people, too. Do you know where that money has gone?
No.
It's gone to education and prevention, which is statistically the most cost-effective way to decrease drug abuse. It's gone into making society better as a whole.
Okay, I get it. It doesn't impulsively seem like we would be soft in our drug policy, but it's actually better for users, society, and the economy.
Exactly. When making policy proposals, we need to be empirical. We need to do what is best for our nation, not just what seems to have the most emotional payoff.
So with that, on behalf of all of us at Griffin's House, please consider joining the fight to change the war on drugs. It's not beneficial for our nation. Most likely, it's not beneficial for you.
The tide is already turning. More states and national figures are supporting legalization and especially decriminalization, like the World Health Organization and former president of Mexico. But our work is not done. Much of the work needs to be done on the state level, as evidenced by the successes of places like Washington, Colorado, Alaska, Oregon, and the District of Columbia. So let me be clear. Write to your elected representative, telling them of your opinion. Tell your friends about this video. Vote for officials like presidential candidate Bernie Sanders that support policies that will get our nation back on track. Get informed, speak up, and act out.
Do this, and in return, we will continue making videos and raising the public awareness of this issue